The latest iPhone OS is iOS 16, which is the most feature-packed version of all time. I really like iOS 16, so I wanted to compare it with an older version and see how much it has improved over the years. In this video, I'm going to compare iOS 16 against iOS 10 released 6 years ago. Many changes that I will mention aren't specifically from iOS 16, but are features that we didn't have on iOS 10, and we gained them through the years. As you can see here, most of the icons still look how they did 6 years ago, but there are some that look slightly different. The biggest changes, however, are three. Those are the lock screen, the widgets, and the control panel. The oldest of these is the control panel, and this redesign you see happened with iOS 11. To reach the control panel in iOS 10, you have to swipe up from the bottom, while the current control panel comes if you swipe from the right side of the top. The older one was just a floating window with 2 pages and you could only do basic things. The current control panel is more interactable. For example, you can access many display settings or change the flash levels. The second big change that happened with iOS are widgets. Since iOS 14 you can add widgets on the home screen, while with the iOS 10 you could only change the icon positions. Also, when holding an icon on iOS 16, appear a lot of shortcuts for an action that app offers. The third big change that happened just recently with iOS 16 is the customizable lock screen. From iOS 7 up to iOS 15, the lock screen had almost no changes at all. It just showed the clock and the date. With iOS 16 you can add widgets on your lock screen, you can change the clock style, and you can also add a depth effect for your wallpapers. With the big changes out of the way, here are some of the other small changes. They are still important but not as big as the ones I mentioned previously. First is the app library, which you can access when swiping from the right on your last page of apps. On iOS 10 this didn't exist. The Spotlight search can be reached by tapping here on the home screen and by swiping down, while on iOS 10 the latter was the only option. When swiping down from the top, the notification panel appeared, while with iOS 16 notifications are merged with the lock screen. And just a reminder that these features aren't from iOS 16 but from older versions, but they weren't on iOS 10. One thing that was very annoying for many years was when you changed the volume. It is now fixed and much better. You can also remove pages from the home screen, while on iOS 10 you couldn't do that. On the camera app you have a lot more options, while on iOS 10 it only had simple tasks. And while the settings app for the most part is the same, you have many more options, like the ability to customize the home screen, emergency SOS, battery usage, and battery health percentage. Another big change for many people is the dark mode, but since I always use my phones with light mode, it wasn't as important for me. If you use dark mode all the time, then this change is more important for you. So these were some of the most important changes for me. Of course, there are thousands of little things that are different now, but if I had to cover them, this video would have been hours long. I just wanted to focus on the biggest differences. If you did enjoy this video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.